I don't like to get false positive. So let's say Roger's standing where I'm at, and he says, Nick, there's a blue spot on the wall. I can't figure out what's around it. It's all orange and blue around it, but we have blue in the, or orange and red around it. The blue's in the center. I'm going to debunk it with the surface temperature first. So this one we should all recognize, right? It's the red dot. It's only going to measure where it lands. So I'm going to measure the whole wall all the way across. I'm going to see that it's the same temperature. I now know that that blue spot that he's seeing is between him and the wall. The camera doesn't see in three-dimensional the same way we do. So then I have to find where the blue spot is and validate that it's not a wind pocket or anything like that. This is a regular, like, ambient thermometer. Okay, it's got a probe at the top. It's not super active. We pull it out when we have to. But with this guy, I'm actually, and Mom, you could probably help out too. I'm going to hand both of these off to you.
It's going to red.
Okay, now this one, put in your pocket. Because we won't be super active with that. So when we need to use it, I'll show you more. So put that one in your pocket.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, he's stealing.
Now this one, Mom, is a laser. Okay, so it's the same rules.
Okay.
But it's only got one dot. So he's going to help Dad out with trying to make sure that what Dad sees in the camera is legit.
Okay.
Okay? So again, you can't shoot that at cars or people. Is that fair?
Sir?
Right down.
That's Caden.
Or where
It's going to red. Got it.
Yeah.
Because it's
Remember, it's going to go crazy. Be all over the place. When we need to
So
look
it's going
at
to go
it,
like this. Like that.
when we need to look at it, it'll be all over the place.
I also don't hand this off to kids because nobody knows what the heck it is under the age of 20. It is a camera. Has no flash to it. I don't want flash because I don't want any false positives. My wife does all the graphic design work and analyzes all of my photographs that I catch with debunking things. So if we actually capture an orb or a weird ray of light or anything of that nature, it goes over to the wife to verify what it is. So I'm going to hand this off to you guys as well. The rule of thumb is nobody along the wall can be in the picture. It's a simple point and shoot, as many pictures as you want. Be wary of the others too. So I will kind of give direction with each location of the tools and devices that you guys have. But I'm also going to use a few things myself. I know this is a long intro, but this is a teaching train. This is what you were expecting, right? Hopefully. Ooh, that's diesel. Wow. So I do use a backup EMF in case Caden's battery drains pretty quickly and I need one in a pinch. It's not super sensitive, but it does work when I need it to be. The second thing that I use is I use a spirit box that's going to give me words in the center of the screen from time to time, okay? It's going to save those words into a list. I'm going to give you guys the entire list, but here's what I'm going to tell you. 80% of it doesn't mean anything. It's meant to be a game or a hoax. I find average 15 to 20% of the words are actually relevant to the location or the history of where we're going. I will also give you verifiable links next to each of the words that I think are viable or verifiable evidence. So that way you guys, it's not like, hey, I say Big John was a football player. I'm going to give you the link to show you that he was a football player. And the word football came up, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm not going to just debunk and like throw words at you guys that don't make any sense. The second thing I'm going to use is called a reverse spirit box. This is my way of communication, like the spirit boxes you guys have, only it works a little differently. And I've already debunked it because they said when I downloaded it that it was radio stations, the same as what you guys have and you guys. But it's not. It's literally a man and a woman saying words randomly, and then the audio is flipped backwards. I don't know how long that recording is for the app, if it's a streaming whatever, but I actually have enough software to debunk EVPs, so I put it in and reversed it forwards. And it's literally just a man and a woman saying words. I had over an hour of a non-looped string of words. So I'm going to play it for you guys so you know what it sounds like in real time, because that's what you're going to hear on your audio and me communicating when I break away from you guys a little bit. Complete gibberish. So when I get an answer, it comes in through forward motion. Now, a couple weeks ago now, I can't remember when I actually got this EVP. It's the strongest thing I've ever gotten out of that particular app, and I'm going to play it for you, only because it's going to show you how I work all this stuff in together the next morning. Here we go. I'll play it several times. Play it again?
Yeah.
By 5 seconds. That's a long time.
Here's what happened with that. I was talking about a woman from England. Your spirit box told me I'll fix you because I had the recording. Baked beans breakfast, I caught in real time, and then the word tea showed up on the spirit box word list. I'll fix you baked beans breakfast and tea. That was a real breakfast in the UK in the 1700s.
Wow.
Do you see how I have to put all these clues together collectively for you?
Yeah.
They were all within 2 minutes of a timestamp. Craziness. The baked beans breakfast, what I'll do when I hear something audibly, in case I break away from you, is I'll say what I heard and then say rewind by 5 seconds. You're going to get the audio back in MP3 format, so you can rewind it as much as you want. Okay, so it's up to you guys to actually verify what I actually heard. Now, in the event that I heard something and it's wrong, you'll have my email address to say, Nick, you suck. This is not what I heard. So, all right. So everybody got the gist of what your gadgets do, right?
Yes.
All right, so we start here for a reason. This place is haunted. It used to be called Big John's. How long have you guys lived here?
I was born here.
Oh, so you're from here?
Yeah.
Okay. Same with you?
17, like 30.
Okay. Good for you guys. All right, so they're going to verify if I'm lying or not, because they obviously know some of these stories. So Big John used to sit in the back of the bar. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. He used to sit in the back and tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel were of age or not. This is back in the 70s. One night, 2 guys came in. They weren't of age. Big John told them to cut them off. They come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register. Gets into a little toddling argument with Big John. Shots were fired. The bullet hole is still in the wall of the building. It is said anybody that sits, not anybody, but randomly, people will not start to feel well if they sit in the front of the bar. Queasiness, headaches, dizziness, just regular paranormal stuff that affects the body. I bring this up on purpose because I don't know how paranormal stuff is going to affect any of you. I don't say this to scare anybody. It is a literal precaution. If anybody is feeling any of those things, I need to know we will move to a safer place. It does happen, not often, but it does happen. First time somebody passed out on my tour on a nice cool night like this, I was in CPR class the next day. And then it happened 4 more times, and I lucked out with nurses being on my tour. So I didn't have to use my CPR. So the other story that actually happened here is the big earthquake of 1886. This is allegedly where the first killing happened. So a piece of the mantling that's above your heads also wraps around the front of the building, and a piece of it fell off, struck somebody in the head, and their ghost is said to be seen right here in East Bay Street. I just don't have any proof. So that's all hearsay, but those are the stories of Big John's. Now the first place we go to, sometimes I get teammates, we're not going very far, but we'll get teammates of Big John and or any kind of stats or numbers based on Big John's history. So numbers never lie. Names usually don't either. So we'll see what we actually come up with. You guys ready to go something?
Yeah.
Sure.
Aiden, you ready? All right, we're gonna head down this way. You guys gotta shut me up every once in a while. I talk too much.
I'm guessing that you did, Lord. I hate how that is. I honestly do. I wanted to stop. It's scary. I'm happy we have a hotel and a 6 people, because I would have been scared after this and after these though.
I love how infiltrated.
What are you doing? That's scary. You're not lying. That's not lying.
He really
Let's go ahead and cut that.
How is it?
All right, so a couple of things here. Crew Cafe claims to have a haunting. They did ask me to walk through with an EMF and possibly do a full investigation. However, I don't know much about the building because it used to be a slave home, according to the records that I have. Slave homes didn't have addresses. So it's really hard to get a little bit more history out. So I don't know what's going on with the building. But that's roof shut, I have no idea what's going on. Obviously, Kaden is a little enthused with the EMFs that he's getting, so that's good to see. So, where are we now? We are actually at the Red Barn Lot. This is where we keep the horses for the carriage rides. The horses are inside. All of you with lasers. None of those lasers can go onto the building. You will spook the horses. They will kick and scare the bejesus out of all of us. So, the only other history I have of this building is that it's the same building that held horses that delivered milk to Charleston. So, that kind of dates it for you, 1860s, 1920s. That's really all the history I have. So, this place, again, gives me weird. I mean, Hayden's getting EMFs already. Obviously, they went away, so I don't know what's happening there yet. We're going to go through each line of doing nice slow sweeps. That's what I expect. Spirit boxes. Your TV shows will normally start spouting off questions and just getting angry with ghosts. That's not what this is about. This isn't how this normally works. We stay away from yes or no questions. The S and the O in the phonetic English language are two of the most common sounds. You can say, is somebody here? And they said the word houses, and you think you heard the word yes. That's why we stay away from yes or no questions.
Oh, okay.
We're going to start off with some simple questions. That's awesome. We're going to start off with simple questions. First off, you guys already know that the bomb is full, right? You also know that there's horses inside. So the two questions, they're just perfect examples. You're going to ask that question once.
That's cool.
That's pretty awesome, buddy. We're gonna have to do a spirit to keep that thing going. Hopefully it doesn't go away from him. So you're gonna ask, what color is the barn? And then you're gonna wait 30 seconds and listen. In the event you don't get an answer, ask the question again. The same question. Go 3 or 4 times. Remember, they're not in the box. You don't need to speak into it. They're hanging out with us. Obviously we have something going on. I'm going to test that part of the building because I don't normally get anything over here. So I want to see what he's got going on. He's going to do it for me. Awesome. Keep him working. With those questions, the 2 spirit boxes are
crazier
going to stay away from each other.
Okay.
Your guys' spirit box is a little loud for the ponies. So I'm going to have you guys stay on this side. You guys obviously are free roam to go wherever you want because you control the volume. Nice slow sweeps on there. The red laser that you have, buddy, now you guys have different types of material in here. This is another great spot for you to learn about the camera. You have metal, asphalt, vehicles, brick, wood, foliage. You're going to see how the camera fluctuates. I'm going to be with you in a few minutes to give you some more pointers and things to look out for. Where's the laser grids? Again, pointed down. You're not going to cross the streams. No Ghostbusters going on here. Keep them separated right in front of you. The green one, we're going to change those batteries out once I make my rounds, and that way it's a little bit brighter for you. So, you guys have your spirit box, you guys know what you're doing. As far as pictures go, who's got the camera again? Well, you guys have the camera. So, really, whenever she's got like lasers going on, if she happens to be nearby, shoot some pictures through the lasers, because she might miss something. It'll show up on the pictures. Shoot as many as you want. Don't like 400, but a couple hundred is fine. 150, 200 is good to go for the whole tour. So I am going to have you guys kind of separate, especially the spirit box. But you want us to go there? Yeah, you guys kind of stick just to the.
We can get by that.
Bro, it's getting crazy.
So you see how I'm getting a temperature reading on the wall?
Yep.
Now you shoot the wall with the laser and see what temperature you get.
That's not the point of this. All right.
7.7.
737? Okay.
7 down now.
But now, where did it go?
7.
Where did the ghost go? But is it in a rhythm?
Oh, back to
I don't
1.
see a rhythm at all.
7:44.
Which means there's something happening nearby. Let me talk to you guys for a minute about this camera. One of the things I like to try to do is keep a person in screen.
Okay.
The reason why I do that is because we are obviously going to be the warmest thing around. So that way you have a point of reference and you have other things that are going to turn different colors. They probably already have something, which is awesome. I'll catch up with them in a minute. You want those things to really kind of move around on you. If you see something blue moving or something turning a darker blue, you obviously have something that's taking the temperature. That's, I don't know how much you know about thermodynamics, but so you know it balances.
I know how it
So you
balances.
also know that if you see something that's growing in heat, that there's another spot growing in coldness.
Yeah.
Okay? So I want you to stay focused on the growing in heat part, because you're never going to find where that cold is going. It could be dissipating slowly to the surrounding area, and it's not going to be as prominent as something growing in heat right in front of you. That's still enough proof that if it goes up by 10-15 degrees in a short amount of time, then the cold spot's also doing that, but it could be dissipated a little bit slower. You're never going to find it. So stay focused on that. How do you know about thermodynamics?
I've been doing wellness checks with a FLIR camera for the last...
Gotcha. So I gave it to the right guy. Perfect. Perfect. So you know why I have him doing that.
I do.
That's going to be off by 4 degrees. They're not synced up, just so you guys know. So I'll let you guys do what you need to do. Let me see what they caught already. All right.
Even. So what we do is you help me take temperatures off of items.
Like this. Okay, I'm gonna go start doing that thing. At the wall. 7:55. Ooh, that's 8. That's 8:00. 8:02. 8:02. 8:04. Why here was 8:04?
I heard red, but I think it's like
8:09. Why here is 8:00? Look. Mama, look. Look at the thing. Temperature. That's pretty.
So what is the temperature at?
I think it's, yeah, 806.
Okay, I'm reading 86. That's about right.
87? There has to be something over there.
Yeah, there's horses in there.
I'm trying. I'm going above.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
795.
What color is the bar?
Just shoot them down.
What? You just point them down, and then if you see a shadow go across of it, they take pictures of it.
Look at that. There's 809 right in front of them.
Right in front of her.
Yeah. Them. 809 right here. 806.
He's still seeing blue. Jesus for real? What color is the bar?
You see it? I'm scared. I don't know what happened.
Come here, Ethan. Look. So look at the metal here. Look. You see the metal? Now look at the temperature. I'm reading the same temperature.
It's 784.
So what we're doing
789.
is we're reading different temperatures.
Let me take one. Let me take one over here. 789.
Okay.
793 heat. Right over here. Ooh, 8 exactly. 802, 813, 811. What did I get 813?
The whiteboard's in there.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. I got actually a full case at home.
What's that? 804 right here.
Cell batteries, and I wear it right in here.
Let's have this metal.
Just rebuild the supply.
Yeah, that's
750,
it.
750, 750 over at the bottom. Nothing. Have you guys got anything for 798? Yeah, which one went crazy? I want to know our name. Yeah.
It does?
Oh, tell me what Logan's name is.
What's his name?
Don't point it at me.
Yeah.
What's his name?
If they say my name, I'm done.
You see how that can get in trouble?
Yeah, for real.
Ooh, 789. Why did they
What's
love
his
them?
name?
Weird things on this wall over here. So you can't see them.
Shut up.
I'm kidding, I just checked that at all.
What's my name?
I was freaked out. What? I honestly freaked out.
I've had this where all the dogs have been with this water. Yeah, it's the strangest thing ever. Not one of us thought to actually get our video camera out and test it to see what the heck was going on. Who's shooting that laser that far? You gotta keep it off the building.
Hayden. Hey. Ethan.
He's gonna spook them.
Don't shoot them into the horses, okay? There's horses in there.
So I'm gonna give you a quick example of what actually, just besides my hand flashing through real quick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work with some smoke right there. So,
Okay. Oh, wow.
you see how it, that's the only way you can actually see it. It's kind of like one of the spy movies, right? So they blow smoke to see where the laser grids are on the ground. That's what you're looking for. It's going to be misty like that, and it's going to be super quick. Things that I've caught myself, it's literally been like, watch that.
What's my name?
8, 802 heat.
No, it's why you walk around.
This one heat.
Can we walk out?
You get anything?
Hang on, we're all going to gather up.
Go over there. I haven't got anything.
I haven't seen anything particularly
Yeah, I haven't seen anything
unusual.
paranormal.
Well, you're getting some. You and I are supposed to work together.
Well, I'm looking for stuff.
We can't go there because we don't want to scare the horses.
You were going
I
to say
haven't got
something else?
anything yet.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the milk, but I'm going to wait for you.
Okay, so I have gotten the words delivery here before. I've gotten the word draft here several times. Those are draft horses.
Okay.
So that would make sense as well. But you guys both heard the color red. You heard it in version of red car. You guys asked me about your names. What happened with your names?
It didn't say anything about those.
We got like something
We
39.
got red, and then we kept on getting blue. Blue? Yeah,
And then we got
blue.
390.
Like, we got blue like 5 times.
I know.
So, the next place that we go to, and I want you to all keep in mind too, that whenever we're asking questions, like some of you might, the next place, we're all going to be asking different questions. I'm even going to break away from you guys so that I can do my own little thing. You guys have extra audio. I'm not going to tell you what questions I'm going to ask, but those answers can go anywhere. They can go to the audio of the camera, they can go to my audio here, or the 4 spirit boxes that are running. So I have 2, 3,
this is
4. So if I say, hey, what color is, I want something, what color is Aaron's shirt? And it says blue on your spirit box, and you turn around like, I heard the color blue. Now, I didn't ask any weird questions for blue to come up, but it'll be verifiable proof that I asked it here, and it came up there. Does that make sense there?
Like, I asked the color of his shirt, and he kept on saying blue.
Oh,
And it's not
wait.
No, that's
live,
right. That's
Yeah.
normal.
You want to reflect? Oh,
Yeah,
Alright.
the latest
You
one.
guys ready to go learn some history?
That's what I'm
there
doing. I'm
blue
reading the
inside the
temperature,
barn?
and you help me verify the temperature with
What's
that.
that?
let me check.
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
question.
It's 780.
That's good.
780. Let's keep going. This real
You
buddy.
having fun?
Yeah, but I'm also scared about the weeding thing.
Intelligent ghost, they want an intelligent conversation.
Because if it says something, I am lost. Nah, if it says my name, that's it.
You running away?
If it says my name, I'm done. That will be sweet. Never want to play with you. Oh, I've got it.
How into it Kaden is now. Give him a toy.
I think I made a believer out of him.
I will tell you, like, they made a very good point. Like, they were kind of yelling at each other. They should have been listening about the horses back there. I normally, when I do my own investigations, I go in blind. All I want is a haunted plane or somewhere that I would think would be any type of, like, I just got back from the Flight 93 Memorial in Shanksville, Pennsylvania for 9/11. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know much about that specific flight, and I didn't even look into it until after I reviewed the evidence and wrote down everything I had. I did that on purpose to keep, obviously, my opinions out of it and not looking for the words Iraqi and kill and terrorists and those kind of things. They just happen to be there. But anyway, I'm giving you guys the stories because, I mean, I do this for a living. I'm trying to keep things going. I don't like to give suggestive thoughts. The questions that I'm going to give you guys for here on your spirit boxes, I'm not going to give you the answers. But you can ask anything you want to about the area, but I'm going to give you some suggestions. So, again, your ghost tours normally take you to somewhere pretty. This is a parking lot. I'm sorry, this is another parking lot, but there's one is pretty significant. Do you guys know where you're standing?
I know what was here before, but I don't know.
What was it before?
It was that bar.
Molly Darcy's. So long before that, hundreds of years before that, it used to be the home of Charles and Eliza Pinckney. So you guys have probably seen Pinckney all over town. The mansion was in the front. Eliza's garden was lined up with his first tree, and then the slave quarters would have been here in the back. So Charles and Eliza got married because Eliza was supposed to go home to her dad in England. Remember I told you guys about baked beans breakfast? This is where that occurred. And also, I'll show you guys a little video afterwards that I just caught 2 ghosts outside the wall just a few nights ago. Very cool stuff with the thermal imaging camera. I actually posted it to Facebook. It was that relevant. But anyway, so Eliza got married because Dad wanted her home. Dad was sick. He thought he was dying. He wanted all his kids home. She didn't want to go. So she got married, became a citizen, and she stayed. Family started. Dad starts getting better, and he starts sending gifts over from England. One of those gifts happens to be the plant indigo. Now, indigo already had a history here in Charleston with the Gullah culture, but Eliza is the one who made it a profitable cash crop when our rice plantations went downhill. So, that being said, Eliza in the 1700s was a businesswoman, which was something absolutely unheard of in that time period. She was also the businesswoman who sold it overseas, which is what made it so successful for us. Now the kids are probably going, what the heck is indigo? It's a plant that makes blue dye that makes your blue jeans blue.
Is that why they could get blue, maybe? On their spirit
It's a
box?
possibility. Good catch. Good catch. I didn't even tie that together. Look at you putting it all together for me. But yeah, this is honestly, if I were to have a grand finale, this would probably be it. But it's not. It's just very active, almost every single night. I think it's only let me down really about 4 times where something relevant didn't come out of here. So a couple weird facts about Eliza. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles. So I'm going to have the spirit box folks try to find out what her maiden name was. Not her middle name, her maiden name. You can ask about the first wife named Eliza. They both go by Eliza blank Pinkney, each with their maiden name inside the blank. So you can find out either one. I just found that out because, again, I learned something new with every single tour. Trying to think, what else can I give you? What happened to the mansion? You can ask that question. You can ask anything you want to about Eliza's death. How old she was, where did she die, where is she buried, how old she was, any of those things. Eliza and Charles had 4 kids. Only one of them was a daughter. Her daughter's name comes through quite often. Charles, well, let me put it this way. So the 2 of them had a son named Charles. So there was the second Charles, and they also had a nephew named Charles. The son and the nephew were signers of our Constitution. It's also what makes us a pretty important place for Charles. So just kind of keep those in mind too. I usually go after the questions with Charles because normally the spirit box folks normally go after Eliza because she's easy to talk to. What I'm going to ask of you guys with your spirit box sessions is that you stay away from each other. First off, don't cross the streams, and direct Eliza directly. Hey Eliza, tell me this. Those kind of things. You can ask any question you want to, but I just gave you a lot of good suggestions to try to find out those answers. I will give you all of those answers, but those are common questions that I get the answers to. And they're weird answers, so they're not very easy to find. Except for maybe what happened to the mansion, because they usually guess is happening.
I'll give you this. Charles was named after Charles, and they named Charles as Chuck. That's what they call it. Charles. Charles was named after Charles. And Charles and Chuck. So it's out in Chucktown. He lived there.
Actually, a couple of businesses over here. I think it's mostly
A lot of people understand what that Chuck is.
I'm looking.
Alright, so, you guys want to see the video of the crazy ghost?
Watch the video.
Bring it on.
This was going to be a bed and breakfast for about 6 months. They had signage up. It went away in the parking lot.
Well, they were also
No, it's
not
freaking out.
scheduling an archaeological dig here either. This place has never
Might be a
had an
ghost right
archaeological
beside us.
Hey, you're supposed to look at it.
It's interesting
I
the fact
gotta
that
check.
they're not going to do that considering how many, archaeologists we actually have in town.
Hayes more interested in the lights.
Take a look down.
They found 3 or 4 things there and had to stop construction for
Can you dang this thing, please? You're not
Is
gonna
that it?
hit him again.
Oh, yeah.
Did you not know that you think he's going to wait him back down? He's going to wait him back down.
right beside
Like straight
New York
away.
Pizza.
Okay. I know you're talking about. Is it-
It's just bees.
Yeah.
Hey,
They're down there.
What?
Alright, so what we're looking for here, I did keep the point of reference to 2 people walking this way. They should be orange and red, and then we're going to see 2 black walk that way. Remember, black coal, white hot.
Yeah, there's something over here. It's freaking out.
This thing.
Walk it.
He had 2 ghost
Fast
sightings
forward
over
over
here.
here.
That thing is freaking out.
And then you're going to see 2 black heads. You be going crazy on there?
Yeah. It's been crazy since we
Yeah.
What's the temperature down there?
Another reason why they called me over there is because they thought they saw a shadow up in that corner. So I went flying up there trying to debunk everything. And I have caught shadow people on digital camera here before too. That's in the evidence folder. Let me show them what's going on.
So where do we have, this is the slave.
Yeah, the slave homes were back here.
You're
I
making it
can't
sound like
verify
crazy.
that you hear, but by all means, I do get activity back there. The names, you have the servant.
How do you know if there's a ghost in here?
It's on. It does show up. I just can't verify.
Right.
I'm looking at it.
And then the house is more of that, right?
This way.
Or
It's
that way.
facing, he's facing.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Shoot your
Again,
spy
this would have been the back of the house.
I'm looking at heat thing
You would be looking at the back.
Shoot your
front
spy.
would be on East Bay.
Ooh,
Garden
757.
right here.
759. 61. I'll go over there.
This wasn't their own house.
So far, 85. Highest we have.
Is this the coldest spot you filmed?
Stand that way, but they cut it this way.
Yes.
Yep.
This is the coldest spot.
The coldest spot you found?
Do you guys want to see the
It's like
ghost video?
that.
All right.
That's the coldest
So
spot.
5 seconds in, you're going to see two people, and I'll
Okay.
turn it. So you're going to see two
Look at
people
the
going
video.
this way. Do you see them walking?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so those people are alive. Then you're going to see two people going the opposite way that are not alive. You see them?
Oh, yeah.
What? Yo, what the? That's creepy.
Now, just like I told them, I was called to that corner over there because the couple thought they had seen a shadow. I asked them to actually describe them to me, and they said, "Oh, the one guy had a hat on, and you could see it clear as day as he passed by." And I said, "Well, what kind of hat?" And they said it was kind of like one of those wide brim, like bowling hats, like old 1900s. So I brought up a picture that I caught of where we're standing actually, and it was. She's like, "That's exactly what I saw." It's my job, buddy. It's what we do.
Yeah, he scares little kids.
No, right. Evidence folder.
I'm gonna probably go over there then after this.
We'll walk around with it.
That's right where we're standing.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That is.
Are we gonna
That's-
have
Those are the. That's,
Yeah, I think we're gonna.
Oh, wow.
Should I
And-
still cover this
I'm
up?
a little confused.
no, you're okay in here.
All right.
You're a little convinced.
Told you. I got a 90% conversion rate.
Wait, 762.
All right, since everybody's
so you
kind
don't
of.
want to say her maiden name yet. You just want us to listen for her, because I'm getting like a lot of words, but I don't know what I'm. Just like I got spring, I
Hey,
got.
Ethan, you're supposed to show me where it's cold.
It sounded like wet.
Not like that. Not cold like
Is
here.
that cold?
No, let me tell you the cold part. I'll tell you when it comes. Okay. Oh, that could be cool. Nothing cold. Wait, 143, 7 soldiers. Something just got hotter like that. Dad, look over here. Can I wear my laser?
I see that.
Is that hot?
It's warmer there.
It was cold and then.
Remember,
hot.
ghosts are cold. We're looking for colder areas.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know we were looking for colder. Right?
Right here.
7, 728, 726. Where's it going? Okay. 7, 8. Okay, so it's like right here. This is the closest one. Right here where you're pointing your thing down. My thing. That was the closest one there. Wait, you just got one more.
You did?
You just got one more. Don't do one more here. Where you want my laser?
Well, I asked what property you did. I asked that, and I got asked twice.
This is showing up right. It is very cold down here. Nope, it is up right.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, I got that.
Did you
This
get
one.
anything?
I haven't seen anything, but I'm keeping my eyes peeled.
Like nothing here. I'm keeping on the wall. Nope. Too hot. Too warm.
Don't shine it up on stuff, remember. Keep the laser down.
Home taking care of me every day. I have little hooks by different doors and closed and that does. I just had 2 hangers.
708. 707.
They're just talking.
I don't want to be here anymore.
She's right in front of me.
Scared. I'm out.
You think you're scared?
Where's mom? Where's mama?
Did like that, but nobody did it.
What do you think? Come here.
It wasn't like not. It was like 6.
See how high it is over there? Look at it. How hot it is over there on that wall where they are.
Well, that doesn't mean anything though. 703? You gone? 701? 699? Where's mom? Mama. Remind me to look over here because it's got cold. It's very cold at the bottom.
You know what's funny is that's kind of how, like, I was a little kid when stuff like that started happening to me. I lived in Ohio, that's where I grew up.
Yeah, over here, Carl. You see anything? Anything weird? Nope.
Let's walk over here.
Ooh, 698 on the ground. 698, 699, 698.
Just walk over here, buddy.
7, 5. Oh yeah. 705, 710. No. Something. 690. 692, 694, 696.
Ethan, come here.
Yeah.
Ethan, come here. Come here. Look
Yeah.
right there. See that dot? Right there?
There is a dot. What
Wow.
else? Look at that.
Why is there an area that's specifically colder right there?
What is there an area? Just dude, is that a ghost?
I don't know.
There might be a ghost there. Ooh, 738. 736. Nope, don't say that. There was, Mom, there was straight hot and there was one, like, cold area.
Well, you gotta tell us where the coldest spots are there, baby.
Oh, well, there was a very small cold area over there somewhere. It was, like, super small that it couldn't have a ghost in it. I'm trying to tell you, but you guys keep wanting to go wrong. 699, 698, 699 again. Nope, okay. Why is that light blinking?
So that light's blinking.
Yeah, why is that light blinking? That's weirding me out. I want to go over there with Logan and them.
Go over there.
I don't know why.
Go over there with him
I just want to.
if you want to. Go over there with him. It's fine. Ethan, come here.
Yeah. What? There's another spot.
No, wait, wait. Put my hand in front of me.
Come on, move. Where else play at? Give me. I'm playing at one of the heads.
Now keep it down. Don't point in the face.
I'm trying not
What's
to.
the temperature?
In the glass?
Uh-huh.
It's 17. Hey, if it's just very close for a second. It was like 6 not good. 69 degrees is not good.
Find anything, darling? Anything coming across your green speckles? My FLIR camera?
Mom.
Logan, what did you call her?
Huh?
What did you call her?
Is it Elizabeth?
Eliza.
We were asking the wrong chick. Eliza. My bad.
Gotta name the right person.
Did they have any names? Because I really want to use it, but I'm not unschooling
Well,
that.
you've got the coldest spot, Ethan.
Yeah, but
Here, right?
not really.
It is pretty cold right there, according to
You said it was
mine.
69.
Alright, let's get everybody gathered up. Let's see what everybody heard and saw. Kind of move away out of this
Let's
car.
not back
Kind
up.
of back up.
Let's go over.
Come on over
Okay,
here.
over this way.
Let's not that much instead of that.
Like a bunch of things were like, I don't know, it was so random.
Okay. Okay. Anybody want to verify that?
I am having.
Eliza
Verify
died at the
the
age
age,
of
please.
70. Good job.
For real?
For real. What else did you hear?
That's like all.
Only heard the number 7?
Yeah, we were over here and we were asking what was the I mean, there was like a bunch of random stuff like
We were
first
asking,
step and stuff like that.
we were asking for her maiden name and it said Jonah,
Yeah.
Joe, some J, but that didn't sound right. And then we asked
But
for
at the
her
same
age.
time, I did say something about Jesus.
Okay. Up to you. What did you hear?
So I asked what was the main name, but I got spring and red. And then I asked what crop did they grow, and it kept saying, it said Africa twice. And then I was over there and asked where are you from, and it said we are not going, and then it said 1993.
Yeah, we kept on asking where she was from, but it kept on saying first step.
We also were saying the wrong name.
I'm wondering what 1993 is. Because Molly Darcy's. I'm trying to think. Well, that was here in the 2000s, correct?
No, it was here. It was here 3 years ago.
2015,
Yeah,
right?
like 3 years ago.
So when did it go from?
Yeah, I don't.
I'll have to dive into that.
Yeah, 1993. Yeah, I was like.
Yeah,
But
baby.
it's in 1993. Anything crazy with the lasers or the video? Okay, sorry, he and I got to talking about dogs and ghost stories with dogs. I didn't get a chance to actually listen to anything on my end. I did get the word chronic and died. So here's what I'll tell you, because that's the only thing I see that might actually be relevant. Eliza died at the age of 70 from breast cancer, which was a chronic disease, in Philadelphia, and that's also where she's buried. So sometimes Philly comes through as well. It is shortened. I know she's from the 1700s, but she listens to people talk. She's no laser. Seen a laser go across. You guys all seen the video, you all seen the pictures of the things that I capture out of here. We never know what's going to come up in the collective. So, and again, what's that?
You can see the hats.
It's all those shadows.
No, the hats.
Oh,
The hats on?
yeah, that was the picture.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't
No,
think
you saw the video.
So that was, that's lightning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so when they called me up to that corner, it's because they said that they saw two shadows walking by, and I had them describe it to me. And they said that one of them had a hat on. I asked them to describe the hat. They said it was a wide brim hat, possibly a hole in the hat. So I brought up the picture, and that's basically what you hear on that video.
Building back there, the glass.
That was back
Way
in July.
cooler than everything else.
Yeah?
Probably because there
Is that that bus making noise?
Yeah.
Alright, so definitely think we got some relevant stuff. I need to listen to that spirit box a little bit more in detail, and we'll actually see what's going on there.
down when he heard on his phone, he was just texting to me.
Okay, yeah, well, you guys got my phone number, so just text it to me on that. So just text me whatever you guys heard. If that makes it easier for you guys, it makes it easier to present to everybody else tomorrow
You said
morning.
that this one didn't record, right?
Right. So we're going to actually walk up to Lodge Alley. We're going to be going about 4 blocks. It's definitely a masked up area. Are we passing by your house?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's where we worked for 6 years.
Lodge Alley Inn?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about the alley itself. Yeah, for sure.
Which we looked down that alley right there, and there was like there's something down there, and he looked over and he said, "Bro, look over there, look over there." And it looks like somebody standing there.
Maybe.
But it's just like, no,
Yeah.
I think it's just something sitting there.
Yeah.
Because it's still there.
Yeah, it could be just somebody else as well. Your spirit boxes, listen for names along the way. I'll explain when we get there. Keep videoing for us. It's definitely a no laser zone, so we want to keep an eye on those lasers. Your EMF's going to go crazy on East Bay because the parking meters make it go off. The lines for the parking meters are under the sidewalk, and it's strong enough to touch the EMF, so we don't need to get excited about that. You can, but again, keep listening. I'm listening for names at that point. So any names that you hear, kind of keep those in the back of your head or type them up, whatever you need to do. Camera, when we get to Lodge Alley, I like to get a few pictures down there before we all walk down it. It's pretty empty. Most ghost tours don't go there. So everybody got comfy shoes on, right? Because we're going to be walking on clay bricks.
What's the number?
So let's take a hike.
That
So
sounds
don't
good.
start the spirit box until we get there.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, okay.
Come along the way.
Right now I'm the cameraman.
I think we should go in the alley because I think I'm getting crazy.
Yeah, you can walk with me.
This isn't even crazy. This is just weird.
This is when it gets good, buddy.
It is.
We're walking the streets of Charleston looking for ghosts.
We'll figure it out this one. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to pull the spot. And then nothing about 699 to put aside. What was that?
Sound like a name to me.
I remember that thing. That was kicking me out every time there's a water.
What?
So you gotta keep that on. You're not gonna be in the
I don't know this one.
And the place was where we're this church road.
Yeah, I know.
That used to be the nicest restaurant in Charleston. It's called Ferrante's. And it was a 5-star restaurant, white linen tablecloths. Everybody wore tuxedos.
How much are they?
It goes from that to Playboy.
You're good.
Amazing. Love that place.
A lot of night exercising around too. Must be pretty safe around here at night. It's a large police presence. Car. Come on, Ethan, help me monitor this camera.
I can't use it yet.
I know, but help me make sure there's no one walking with us.
What do you? Ooh. I'm so freaked out now. I'm so freaked out. Look, don't worry about that. There's nothing down there. It's supposed to go down, right? No. Yeah, it's supposed to go down. Do you have anything? Okay. Do you have anything? So do you hear me? Come on. No? Is that anything? Is it still warm and cold?
Yeah, she had to take her dog to therapy after.
They live here, so they're giving me more ghost stories.
The third floor is all residency, and then the second floor is businesses and the bottom floor.
So one of the buildings, or two of the buildings I'm actually looking at, are obviously Big John's, but they're turning that into a new bar. I'm sure you guys knew that already. So years down the road, when I'm ready for that kind of business, the other place is Bocce's restaurant, right next to Tommy Condon's. Like that would be an ideal place for me too, because there's ghost stories left and right out of that place.
Yeah.
But again, I want to turn the upstairs into a haunted hotel. I'm trying to buy a house right now. House. And
You see that little, the peak and the roof way down there?
On the fourth floor?
That's the floor.
Be careful with that thing.
so I go knocking on doors trying to get free rooms so I can verify all these stories. Nobody gives me free rooms. Like, I'll verify that for you.
Yeah.
That room is, we've stayed in it, that room is huge. It's the hardest room to get because it's the biggest one on property.
Right.
We've got 3 front rooms, 2 bedrooms, 1 bedroom. This is actually 15 buildings.
Didn't know.
Almost. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
So it looks like it's
I did not want to be like. This thing's so creepy. The thing, the machine, and
There's Magnolia.
Do the same thing, at least minimum of 2. We're grabbing some pictures here. First off, we'll go a little bit down. Second off, we'll go a little more things that they show up in the pictures. So,
Well, I would tell you who's ear to burn.
Kaden.
See anything?
No, not specifically. Jaden, don't go in there.
It doesn't stop. You see anything? I'm freaked out now. That's cool. I'm not the on TV all. When I was up there, when I got down,
Walking around back
this thing,
alleys
it
and
was
girls
up
and
like,
dudes.
right there, and it just didn't like flicker or anything. It was just like that. It was just
I'm going to line you guys up here on the wall and kind of tell you what I get down here and some of the history that I have of this alley. And you guys can, since you guys used to work here, kind of give me a gist of how accurate I am. So we're in Lodge Alley. Okay, the building behind me is Lodge Alley Inn. I usually joke around that nobody gives me free rooms, so I'm not going to verify their ghosts. But this particular place is actually pretty interesting because people used to live here. Obviously, the two buildings here were never here back in the 17 and 1800s, and these were actually shotgun houses down here. So shotgun houses, you shoot a bullet through the front, it'll go out the back. That's how small they were. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived down this alley. That's why I say listen for names. What did you hear?
We didn't hear his name, but I asked where are we, and we just heard alley.
Fair enough. I'll take it.
Nice.
Because a lot of times the word alley will come up either here or when we go to Dueler's Alley, which is next. So that's pretty good. We'll take that. Did you hear anything on
No,
yours?
I heard random words, but not names.
So the two names I normally get down here, and they're usually together, but Benjamin will show up by himself, but a lot of times it's accompanied by the name John. Benjamin and John lived here in 1801. Can't make this stuff up. It's not ironic that they both lived here at the exact same time, and those are the names that show up. So, and it's not that I usually tell those names ahead of time. That's why I say listen for names along the way. Somebody says, I heard the name Ben. Somebody else will say the word John, or I say, I got John on mine, so forth and so on. They usually show up together. They also have their occupations. You also consider these people that lived here lower class. Now, you guys just walked on clay bricks, obviously, by hand. Okay, so this place would not have been a very pleasant place to live. The peninsula would have been much skinnier. Those buildings down there probably weren't there during that time, and the smell of low tide coming through here would have been horrible to live in. They did the archaeological dig in between the clay bricks. They found some of their tools, some of their silverware, little bits of their clothing. They consider these people to be lower class. So again, especially with the size of the houses, the name Alex shows up from time to time too. He tried to do a little boarding house down here, and it got denied by the city. So I found that out. Again, I learn new stuff every tour. So based on whatever shows up and what you guys hear, that's where I have to dive in and find out if it's not something of the facts that I know. I can dive into that stuff, and learn more and more about Big John almost every tour. That's what's crazy. In the original place we started, the Masons also used to meet down here. So Hot Sweaty Nights of Charleston, down here in suspenders and suits, talking business. I have caught shadow figures down here, and I get a green orb down here all the time. It's almost solid, so most orbs you can usually see them. They're a little transparent, almost translucent. This one in particular, almost solid, and it's not in the same spot. I've seen them on those bars above that doorway. I've seen them up there. I've seen them floating around. I've seen them move in videos that people took. It's a green orb every time. I've been down here at the daytime and nighttime trying to figure out where the hell that green light is coming from. I have nothing that proves where that green light should be coming from. It's obviously not. If it was the grid pen, we would have more than one dot moving. Obviously, there's hundreds of dots in that grid pen. I have no explanation for it. That's why I try to get pictures with every tour going either way. So we try to capture at least two coming this way, two coming the opposite way. So once we exit, if you could take two going the opposite way would be great. the shadow figure I caught was up there on that half wall. It was actually, the wall was yellow in color on the thermal imaging camera, and we had a full figure of a person at the very corner of it that was like a red in color, which is obviously about 8 degrees cooler. So I also had a shadow come up on the picture in the same time frame that I couldn't explain. So weird stuff happens down here all the time. So that's, you guys come out to smoke all the time. So you guys have anything else that you know that happens down here?
I knew that they, well, just in particular in one of those rooms, personally what happened to me and my cousin, we were just standing there talking, and they had those bifold, what are they called? Those closet doors, you know, that are the bifold, you know, and there was 2 of them, and it was carpeted, so they're very hard to open anyway. We were sitting there talking, and both of them opened, and it was on the 3rd floor of this main building right here. And she wanted to go out the window, and I was like, well, the only way is to like walk out the front door. So, but that's one of the units that a lot of the housekeepers don't go into on the 3rd floor.
Yeah, because I've heard and read the stories online about, you know, the Lodge Valley Inn, but to get something firsthand, that's pretty awesome to take. So we'll see if anything actually, and I'll be looking out now that I have it on audio. I'll have to kind of go through that and see what's.
And I'm not sure like how much, I haven't read into it at all, but I have heard that because this was like one of the only like thoroughfares to the warehouses out to the wharfs right there, that they would bring pirates down in here to hang them in this alley. Because the pirates would live like in those little shanties, you know, a couple streets over.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. Anything, like, I'm not like into the whole pirate history, so I don't want to say I ignore the pirate history, but I usually just shy away from it. I don't know why. I don't know. I never got into it. It wasn't my thing. I know it's part of our history. But.
And I think it was the only reason why they hung them here is because so that their crews and all the other people, the ships and stuff, docked, could see them being hung or hanged.
Well, the old armory down at the prisoners in the basement.
The Provost Dungeon?
Yeah, the Provost Dungeon. They used to, you'll have to have rails over the windows. They would put them in there, and you know, they would be chained to the walls. Well, there used to be a wall and trough that's not here anymore, but it would flood, and the water would go into that basement and eventually go over their heads, and they were chained, and they would all drown. And then after it went back down low tide, they would take them out.
So I actually got interviewed by Mike Brown from Pleasing Terrors. He does a podcast and another tour down here by the same name. He pretty much is another me without the tools. And he's actually doing an episode on Old Provost, and I did an investigation there. My name showed up, so in the spirit box. So he wanted to know more about that, and he's going to be featuring my tour and the podcast on his podcast. So it's funny that you bring up the Old Provost. So that comes out on the 20th, and it's called Pleasing Terrors. I had listened to a few episodes. I listened to a lot of podcasts, obviously, because of my job. But it was more like, oh, he's actually going to be featuring me. He has 15,000 listeners. Let's talk more. So let's keep everything moving. But yeah, there's all kinds of. I mean, we don't go that far up, just because I would love to take people inside, but I know Bulldog kind of reigns that territory, so I kind of stay out of their way. They're not fans of me at all. We'll just say that, put it out there. That's the big dog in town. They run most of the tours. I'm a lone wolf out here, so I'm sure you guys.
So they fluff theirs up a lot when we've been on it. They put a lot of fluff in there.
Yeah. So, but again, I try to do the real life stuff. You guys ready to go check out the rest of this alley and then go hear about some dueling?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
For names. I imagine all kinds of dastardly things has happened in this alley.
Oh, I believe it.
Can I see the light now? Can I see the light?
Right. I'm just saying it's just a little sliver of cool air. It's moving on its own. Getting out of the AC portion doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they got in there walking the guy, put it in the car.
We got 70. Now, didn't you guys have 30 something?
Start at 390.
390.
Yeah.
Well, this is 295 this way. Is that what you made? Yeah, the picture right there. So what is it?
Yeah. Doors are obviously a different color.
Look at what little boy. Pretty weird. Mom,
We'll throw that down, okay?
I just almost tripped on it.
Just waiting to like hear the death.
I swear, if you tell me there's something like behind me.
There's people right behind you.
Where are we?
Oh, Ellie. That's funny.
Two full moons in October, the 1st and the 31st, so Halloween actually has a full moon this year.
It has a blue moon.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
blue moon.
It happens every 7 to 8
Walk down
years.
your left, you'll see our full guest house. It's 400 square foot. It's not too exciting. 400 square foot house.
You know why we're gonna have a blue moon?
Lots.
It's very rare. It happens every 7
Oh,
days.
that is weird.
Look at all these weird people that believe in ghosts. You see them?
But there is a lot of blue.
Very rare. And it's mostly about witchcraft.
So I usually tell
If you
this
see
story
like
out here, guys,
ghosts,
because
it's gonna be a lot of
this is the most popular area for ghost stories. Okay, so all of the tours come down here. But you guys actually have tools and gadgets to either prove it true or to. Sorry, you want to watch the screen?
Oh no.
No, I'll end it off. I don't care. Because I'm going to go through it tomorrow morning anyway. But all the other tours like to come through here, and I don't like to be interrupted so much that way you guys can actually go through and verify what's actually happening. So this place is called Philadelphia Alley now. It used to be called Dueler's Alley, and before Dueler's Alley, it was called Cow Alley. Called Cow Alley because this is where they kept all the livestock. Okay, so this story that we all tell is based on Dueler's Alley. Keep in mind, hundreds if not thousands of duels have happened down this alley that we're going to walk through. So here's the gist of what went down. There was a Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. You guys know Joseph, right? You guys know the doctor's story? Okay, this is actually a pretty cool story. So the doctor moved down here from Rhode Island. Okay, keep those initials in mind because RI shows up again later and can show up on our spirit boxes and does show up on our spirit boxes. So he was supposed to get married to his fiancée Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her deceased parents. So the lawyer handling that money told her, "You're not getting married. I think he's just after your money. Send the doctor away. Let's see if he's really in love with you." So the doctor moves down here to Charleston. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be coffee. Not a very good start to his stay. Now, somebody walking by saw what was happening His name is Ralph Isaacs, initials R.I. He says, you don't want to stay here, let me take you somewhere else. He takes him to 59 Church Street. It's about 1.4 miles from here, okay? Not too far. It's actually the same street as the steeple that you guys are looking at. So, finds a good room to rent. The two become friends. Ralph is a regular Charlestonian. He's an attorney, but attorneys back then weren't what we know of attorneys now, pretty well off and doing well. He's just a regular Charleston guy. So, the doctor's practice starts to take off. He's making lots of money. Everything's going well. Amanda's going to move down soon. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. So you can Google the Whistling Doctor and get the very detailed version of this story. They used to go see plays together, but because they were in different parts of society, they had to sit away from each other. The doctor obviously had much better seats because he made more money. It's kind of like going to go see a movie with your friends, but you can't sit next to him because you don't make as much money as they do, which sucks. So they talked about this play on the way home. They go see Richard III from Shakespeare, and the doctor loves the new actress in town. Ralph does not. They start arguing. Then it turns into an insult party on the doctor's fiance back home in Rhode Island. They obviously get very angry with each other and they go their separate ways. Ralph has ties to Charleston because he's from here. He gets a hold of the newspaper and he puts an ad in the paper and says what a disgrace the doctor is to the city of Charleston. He's a jerk. He takes all our money. He charges too much. He's not from here. He's not one of us. The doctor rebuttals with, let's go settle this and duel her out. Which means one of them is going to wind up dead. Right? The loser of a duel normally dies. The doorway that you guys see directly in front of me on the far wall, there's a doorway right there. Normally the loser of a duel would be picked up, carried through the courtyard, dropped over at St. Philip's Cemetery, and then they go celebrate the win. That's how that went down. So here's what happened with the doctor. They come down, they take the 20 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to make a point. Ralph takes 2 shots below the knees. The doctor drops. Didn't die. His friends pick him up and they carry him home to 59 Church Street where he died 10 days later. What's the moral of the story? Don't get engaged to a woman named Amanda. Okay. Just make sure y'all are paying attention. No, it's a long story. So they say as you walk through this alley, it's always this quiet. Always. Daytime or nighttime. You can hear the whistling of the doctor. We have a lot of hecklers here in town that know the story. They'll walk by the alley and give you a whistle. There's a fake one for your audio. This is where you guys are going to crank it up. You're going to listen for those faint whistles. I'm going to stay away from the spirit boxes. It's not that I'm ignoring conversation. I'm trying to get you a nice clear audio. I'm only going to be using this spirit box. I won't turn up the volume more. So you guys can have a nice clear audio as we walk through. The other piece that they say you can hear, which I haven't caught yet, is gunshots. My 4th of July team wanted me to try to find it, and I told them that there's fireworks going off everywhere. It wasn't going to happen. Another little piece of history about this alley is that the bricks are going to get older as we move along. These up here were refreshed and renewed in the 1990s. Those down there are sun-dried bricks from slave kids. We have their fingerprints and one full handprint at the end. Now, it is by someone's home. I will point it out with my toe and keep moving forward, but I want you guys to notice that the thumbprint actually overlays into the next brick, which means that slave kid had to put that brick in wet and then stamp his hand in it, as in a screw you, I don't want to do this anymore. So it's very interesting to see. It's not a proud moment for Charleston, but it is there. So it is something I do like to at least point out so you guys can get a gist of it. It's probably the size of their hands. So if you guys want to do a quick comparison, just make it brief. Let's kind of get an age group of how old these poor kids were. I will start pointing out fingerprints. The spirit boxes will cut off once you reach the courtyard, so that way we're not disturbing them and making any noise. If we're cutting through other tours, if they happen to pass by, we obviously stay to the right, mask up, spirit boxes down. So that's kind of how that goes. As much as the other tour people don't like me, I don't want to piss them off. So, this is a really cool place. We definitely want lots of pictures. I do get weird light fixture things going on in here. Oh, another weird little thing. A couple weeks ago, I'm down here. I've been telling this story too because it's so weird. So, I'm down at the end and I smell a fruit. And it had this happen where I smelled something weird that shouldn't have been there. And I was waiting to see if one of my guests from the tour, I had a small group, it was only like 4 or 5 people, come up and see if they were going to smell anything. One guy says, that's passion fruit. I'm like, no, that's grapefruit. I know that smell because I'm not allowed to eat it because of my epilepsy meds. That's why I know it. So we're dancing around trying to find where the stronger point was, and they're all confirmed it was grapefruit. Then the word pie comes up. I'm kind of like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Go home, do the research. Grapefruit pie was a thing that started in Charleston. It's a lost recipe on the Southern Living magazine's website. You gotta be kidding me.
Should be awesome.
I know, right?
I don't know.
Sounds
what this
disgusting.
smells like, but I am smelling
But it's one of those, like, how do you even put that together?
it smells good. I don't know.
So does the daughter or wife being from Philadelphia have anything to do with this alley being
No.
Philadelphia?
This is actually named Philadelphia Alley because when the dueling became illegal, we named it after a city that helped us after one of the many fires that we've had here. Philadelphia sent down quite a bit of money to help us get back on our feet. So that's why, and there's actually a plaque down there that'll tell you a little bit about that. If you guys want pictures of that, it doesn't show up on there because it's kind of dark. But if you guys want pictures of that, if you stand way far back as you can get the steeple lined up perfectly with the plaque. So it's a great picture shot. So I'll do the touristy stuff that you guys do, just because I know you guys are from here. So but this alley is absolutely gorgeous. This is one of my favorite places. So, well, even the owners of the houses at the end of the street, like, they don't believe that those handprints are real. They think they were planted, which I think is absolutely hysterical. But they have a lot of dogs, and a lot of times they'll wait for me to come through. They have bigger dogs, like a poodle. But anyway, this is a really cool place. If you guys want to check out the Death Gate, is what I call it, where the dead people go through, you'll hang a right. I'm actually going to go left and walk really slow to try to get a nice audio for you. But if you guys want to check it out, just hang a right. It's directly in front of me right here. Let's get a nice creepy sound effect of the gate for your audio. Somebody kept it closed for me.
Not creepy at all.
Not at all.
Watch your step.
Oh, this is a great picture opportunity right here. It's empty.
Hey, he just told us to stop.
Did it really?
Yeah. I didn't even ask her anything.
Come with me, Ethan.
Okay.
I got insurance. I'm not worried.
How's the heat? How's the heat? Oh,
So there's the death gate.
how are we going to the
Step
death
up
gate?
in front of the death gate.
No, bro.
Let me get your heat
I'm
signature
just
in front
scared
of the
of
death gate.
that. I'm not going up there. No, I'm just over. No, look.
Hey,
I'm going to spray something. Can you move? There's oh,
something
that's
in
cold.
dueling alleys. Step in
Not
front of
that
the death
close.
gate.
I'm not stepping for that. I could have a car, bro.
That's where they would dump the bodies over. You got killed in the alley.
Yeah, I think I heard that. Oh my god. Hey Nick, who do you have insurance with? It just said Geico, that's why I'm asking.
I don't know who he has it through. That's really the only reason why I'm partnered up with somebody right now.
You should ask him if it's through Geico.
I don't think it is. I think it's through an actual tour.
Oh.
Because I know I'm switching everything over in January, and I'm going through a company called
It was
Next
just funny you mentioned insurance
Insurance.
and then it
And it's gone. Right now? Yeah, it's gone.
What do you think, guys? Is this what you guys signed up for?
Yeah, that's cool. I like it.
Sorry, they got local stories, so if they're
Yeah.
giving me more locations, I want to grab as many as I can. I keep, like, there's like 8 more stories up and around, so when I have like a group of 2 and we're walking pretty quick, I keep those in my back pocket. There's actually not a whole lot of activity through them, but they're really cool ghost stories to tell. So, but I do love this park. Like, this is, the cemetery is actually right in front of us.
Yeah.
Where are we? If I ever come down here and tell that story, I tell it here, because this is about where it happened. He's buried just on the other side of that too.
How you doing?
Good, how about yourself?
Good, good.
That is a beautiful picture spot, isn't it?
Yep. I'll point out the touristy stuff. I don't mind. Beautiful city. You guys should remember your vacation.
You want a picture? Right here.
So without a flash on that, not gonna, the plaque won't show, but if you guys want to use your phones, make sure the flash is on so you get the...
Want a picture?
No.
No, you're good? All right.
This is creepy.
Yeah, pretty creepy stuff, huh?
I'm trying to find the phone.
How many people you think have been killed in this alley?
703? Nope. I can't find the first spot. You can't find my first spot. Wait, how old am I taking that?
Caden's short for anything.
Nope, that's his whole name.
That's why I asked. You see the second word down? I know that looks like a female's name.
Yeah. Hmm. Hey, then.
Hey, that's the big backyard, buddy.
Can't go back there.
Oh, that is.
Oh, wow.
Wait, what? Where? Huh? It's warm. Crazy.
Yeah, we definitely want to keep those spirit boxes real low here.
What's this one?
A lizard?
Here on the side, you can
Oh,
definitely
yeah,
see
you
them.
can see them, yeah.
It's right here.
Mine too. Look at that. It's lights up. That's 719.
Put your hand on her, bud.
No. Look at that. I'm not doing that. That's pretty neat. That's hot. LOL.
Alright, you go through it before.
Cadence, stay out of the road, please.
That's the low person. Are you talking about gun door? Hand store?
He's down there taking a bunch of pictures, ain't he?
Yeah.
He's finding all the cool spots for you guys. So the building we're going to talk about next is the big brick building catty corner from us. That's the Wagner building. So that actually used to be the one behind you. That used to be a cotton warehouse. So the story goes, George Poirier actually inherited the business from his dad with a cotton warehouse in the back. The offices for it were in the front of the building facing the East Station. He inherited it, he blew through all his money and inheritance, and he got himself into a bunch of debt pretty quick. We also had the boll weevil in town, but that eats cotton. So now he's really got to get rid of his crop. He doesn't want to sell it back to the Americans because that's where his debt is, and if they find out that the boll weevils are infested in his crops, he's going to be in a whole heap of trouble. So he sells it off to the British. The ship rolls up. Again, the Vendu and Pineapple Park are directly across the street from it, so the ship would get much closer. He's watching everything from a second-story window, which is where his offices were. And your online story is what's in the third-story window. Everything in my data tells me the number 2. Okay, so I still go with number 2. So he's watching, and the ship rolls up. They unload it with horse and buggy. That was unnecessary. from these really cool garage doors that you guys see back here. Once everything's loaded, the cotton's all on one ship. Somebody gets too close to the cotton with a pipe. The whole ship catches fire, and everybody either catches fire themselves or they drown. George watches the whole thing. Now, he was already depressed because his dad's gone, and he doesn't have enough money to pay back his American debts because the British undercut him, and now his father's legacy is gone. So what does he do? He piles up all the furniture, climbs it, swings a noose, and he hangs himself. There's a newspaper kid that found him the next morning, came down to sell his papers on the corner, and just found the swinging corpse in the window. So, it is said, you can see the shadow of the swinging corpse along the window where he hung himself. I got word from a concierge in town that just took this store a few weeks ago that it was literally right on the corner. Like, you're going to see a rounded edge when we get up to East Bay Street. It was right above that, it was in that window. So I've been testing with the camera and the thermal imaging camera, that window right above the curb and the two going in to see if we actually get a temperature difference. Our thermal imaging camera cannot see through glass. It looks at glass as an object. So, in the event, you're going to see on your video, all windows that we shot all night long are blue in color. We're looking for them to turn darker blue or black. One panel, which means something is influencing it from the inside. I've caught small glimpses of it from time to time. I haven't caught a full-on, hey, this is in the shape of a dead swinging body. It's more of like that's a pane that turned a little bit colder than the rest. This place also used to be a brewery, and they shut it down because it was too haunted. The taps would turn on by themselves. You guys are probably looking around for that. And there was a lot of
there at that brewery.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That, yeah.
I also get another goes to tag along. Now, where we came out of Philadelphia Alley, 2 blocks up is a restaurant called Hoogan's Porch. You guys probably know about Hoogan's. Probably eaten there many, many times. Zoe likes to tag along. It used to be Zoe's house. Her name is Zoe Saint Monde. She is of French descent. So the words French will come up from time to time. And know it's Zoe because on my spirit box, she likes to spell her name properly. Z-O-E, not Z-O-E-Y. I get her name about twice a month, and that's about the average. She lived with her sister Elizabeth, and Zoe was a school teacher. So those are the types of phrases that you're going to hear on your spirit box. I normally hear I won't hear restaurant. I'll hear things like table, food, eat, fork, sister, those kind of things. Teach, teacher. With George, you're going to hear words like fire, ship, cotton, father, dad, those kind of things. Those are I never know who I'm getting. Sometimes it's both, sometimes it's none. This is a hit or miss location. Now, I will also tell you, do you see the peak of the building here in the back? Mm-hmm. In the front, it's covered in stone. About 5 feet below that is the same type of stone inlaid into the brick. At times, now tonight's a little breezy. The last tour, it was about I think it was 18-degree difference, maybe 20 degrees. At times, there was a 30-degree difference. Now, the breeze coming in off the water, I would expect on a non-breezy night, 7 to 12 degrees. Breezy night, maybe 15 to 18. Anything above 20, I'm going to get excited about. I want you guys to also keep in mind that this back portion is condos right now. So we're going to walk alongside of the building, listening to spirit boxes. You know, obviously trying to keep them at a very decent level as far as what you can hear. Your lasers, except for yours, are pretty much out of commission. So sorry, but no lasers back on East Bay Street. Definitely full video from you when we get to the front. EMF's going to go crazy, Caden, only because of the parking meters again. So if you get anything alongside of the building, just let me know. And of course, pictures will be once we get up to the front. So again, we're going to let this tour pass by and see where we're going to go first. So that way we're not interrupting how where we're going to take it. Did I say that out loud? I think I did. We're going to give them a minute. Again, once we start making noise.
So,
And Nick's the cemetery guy. Like it's sitting out on the street. And you're like, oh, it's Nick the cemetery guy.
so several years ago, on our first vacation in Charleston, the South End Brewery was there.
Yep.
And we ate at South End Brewery after doing a ghost walk, and went up and ate at the table that was supposedly the table right where he is seen most.
Nice. Anything happen?
Nothing happened. This is normal kind of thing, but
So
it was fun all the same.
all of the devices and the apps that I use are all going to be at the top of your evidence page. So Christmas stuff, if somebody decides they want to show an interest, there's all a list of everything and what they do. And the apps, there's free versions of all of them. My word list one, for example, this is the upgraded version. It has 9,000 words in it. The free version has 3,000 words. So I did the free ad. I think they're gone as soon as they start flying by. We're going to cross the street legally and check out what we got going on up here. What do you think, man?
Kangaroo. Should have let me run my shit.
This is one of my favorite buildings here. Ethan, you gotta take those temperatures, buddy. You'll see how the bricks are a different temperature at the bottom.
What does this thing do?
That takes the temperature. Yes, it does. You're gonna end up losing that.
Part of the airport was real busy and part of it was dead.
I'm not totally mad at it.
Ben, I did hear Zoe and stairs on the way up here.
I'm sorry.
Could be from the system. Alright, so let's shoot your gun. You see the stone right at the very top of that building? You see how, like, there's a stone? It's a white stone that covers the top? You don't see it? Look all the way at the very top of that building. Do you see it now? Yeah, you see where there's a big white stone? Here, let me see your gun. Show you. Right there. See it? That was 36 and a half degrees, 54. So I got about 19, right now, 29 degree difference. That would be why I heard so many words. So I do have to check Rebecca's again to see. Did you hear anything?
No.
I got Zoe and stairs.
Really?
Yeah, I did. On mine.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they got I'm sorry. I got Zoe and stairs on mine.
I haven't got anything yet.
So I'll definitely have to focus on yours because that's, and there's almost a 30 degree difference now.
Okay.
So it's like 29 degrees difference. So I'm gonna let yours run for a few minutes. David, you can get us those did you get pictures already? All right, cool. So I'm gonna let that video run, see if anything actually changes on your end. And then I'm gonna grab the lasers because they're pretty much irrelevant over here. Nice and quiet tonight, aside from the girls screaming.
I was gonna say, yeah.
No, they're having a
We
good
didn't
time.
run into too many tourists tonight, which is actually kind of nice. Let that run. That's no good up here anymore. You did a good job though, man. What do you think? Are ghosts real now?
It's shorter.
Alright, I'll
I got
take that.
survived.
Were you creeped out?
I got survived.
Oh, nice. Because Zoe did survive the system.
Oh, okay.
I know we didn't have to use it, but at least we had it ready. Appreciate that. We get everything out. No matter how many people in here.
So that's the corner that you said?
Concierge told me that exact corner. But they were going
This is where everybody went to hang out.
That's what I heard. I've heard a lot of stories about this place. And again, it's going to be a wedding reception area place now, so. Yeah. No. Well, they had some construction going on like pre-COVID. I'm going to hand that up.
Well, I can't forget because eventually the bill comes due and they're having
all the data and the evidence. I'm letting the spirit boxes run just in case you hear something else. And of course, we'll grab that camera since we got the footage there. That's for you guys to check out things ahead of time.